Like, this is turning into mainstream media. It's like, obviously, whenever I talk about this sort of stuff, I usually tend to shift my focus over to like Fox News and the Republican Party and their willingness to amplify this sort of very obvious, oblivious, insane propaganda. But like, Moon is literally one of the non-ironic god gamers on the platform. By the way, you stand no chance at any game with versus him, sadly, even if he's never played. Are you guys like, does Moon have like simps in the same way that XQC does? But like they're older, so it's kind of weirder in a way. I like that. That's so funny. It's like, yo, XQC simps are like fucking 12. So I get why they're doing it.
Love you,
why are you doing it for Moon? You're a boomer. If you're a fan of mine or if you're a fan of Moon, you're probably a boomer, okay? On Twitch, on the Twitch demographics, you're on the older side. So that's the map before all the mail-in ballots were counted. No, the dude's literally a god gamer. Save yourself. I'm sorry, I think you used the name Moon Boom behind the words god gamer behind it. I suggest you quickly apologize and do it from California and Solid. Is he that good? I don't even know. I don't really watch video games like that. I assume he's I mean, everybody's a god gamer in comparison to me. I fucking suck. So my mind still can't wrap around that there's adults who didn't see the towers come down, Sag. Yeah, that's true. After Trump's lawyers quit overnight, Rudy Giuliani, right now for the first time since 1992, is arguing before a federal judge to prove voter fraud is going as expected. Giuliani claims this is alleged conspiracies happening in big cities controlled by Democrats. You have to be a fool to think this is an accident. Yeah, it's over. He's good. He beat the Tony Hawk tutorial. Yeah. He was a good Overwatch player, consistently top 500. Homie, don't challenge that dude. He's going to bend you over. I don't give a shit, dude. It's fun. It's not like I have a... Listen, it's not like I have any sort of like gamer credibility. You know what I mean? If you've ever watched me play video games, you know like the mechanics are very difficult for me. Like I'm just not good at all. So the way I see it, this is a win-win because like I lose nothing if I lose, and that's like already the expected outcome. And he loses everything if he on the off chance does by sheer stroke of luck actually loses. Now obviously he won't lose anything like really, but they will meme that into oblivion. You know what I'm saying? The USA vowed to never leave Afghanistan. Yeah, NATO chief warns against premature withdrawal. We're just never leaving Afghanistan, dude.
President Trump is expected to issue an order as early as this week to withdraw.
I think Donald Trump is probably trying to leave Afghanistan so that they can make it fully private. They can fully privatize that colonization effort and like outsource it out to mercenaries. Okay? I feel like that's what's going on there. And sorry, I just got a message. Yeah, a mercenary vassal state, exactly. You know, if you've ever played an RTS game, like you know what this is. We've done it. Like we did it in our history. Now we play video games over it. It's basically the same shit. Like that's what we're doing.
The media industrial complex.
Yeah, we're doing that. Like that's exactly what we're gonna be doing, right? But I think that I think that the goal here, it's vessel, not vassal, whatever. I think that the goal here is to just fully privatize all the action in Afghanistan. And again, what do I always say? Don't listen to me. Listen to the conservatives. I mean, Eric Prince literally wrote a New York Times op-ed. I don't care, chat. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. That's not the point. That's not an important thing. Who gives a shit? Whatever the fucking plebs are saying in the chat. Okay. I'm trying so hard not to focus on this. Eric Prince personally wrote a New York Times op-ed, literally promoting his business. This is what he does. Blackwater, and or Academy. Sorry, Academy. As a consequence of his like previous Blackwater reputation being tarnished because he was doing war crimes. Like, they were doing such horrific war crimes that they changed it twice. They changed the name twice. It was XE, and then it turned into Academy with an I in the end. So now they want to just completely privatize with their mercenaries. They want to completely privatize imperialism in Afghanistan. So that's what I think Donald Trump is doing this for. Not because like he legitimately believes that it's a good thing to pull out of Afghanistan. I think the real reason why he's doing it. I think the real reason why he's doing it, the Nusur Square massacre is one of the more famous ones. This is, of course, also Betsy DeVos's not sister. I think it's a sister-in-law, right? Like Eric Prince is related to Betsy DeVos. Like, these are incredibly wealthy people that are all fucking connected with one another, and they all end up working on the same interests. But
you in chat are kings.
Eric Prince is the younger brother of United States Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos and brother-in-law of the former Amway president Dick DeVos. So basically what's going on is these guys are incredibly powerful. They're incredibly wealthy. Betsy DeVos destroyed public education systems, or made it a mission to destroy public education systems in the state of Michigan. That's why Donald Trump was like, oh no, please, let's have your fucking like Fethullah Gulen style American Sharia, Christian Sharia schools planted all around the country where you can segregate with ease and also educate people on creationism or whatever the fuck you want to teach them. Like, please become the Secretary of Education so you can do that easily. Just like that, Eric Prince has been trying to actively and deliberately talk about privatizing the Afghan war, the war in Afghanistan, the occupation of Afghanistan, and using liberal terms to be like, hey, well, it's going to be fucking cost efficient if we do this, and it's also going to pull our troops out. You know, we got to bring those boys home. So I think that that's probably what they're moving towards, but there's a lot of people that benefit. There's a lot of people that benefit from having troops there, generals specifically, military contractors. Again, remember, this is our most important, most significant industry. So clearly, the American military-industrial complex, with the exception of Eric Prince, wants to stay in Afghanistan forever. So pretty cool. Love that.
Draw U.S. troops from Afghanistan, to draw those down to 2,500 troops. And now our colleague Jake Tapper is learning, according to sources familiar with the matter, that the recently fired Secretary of Defense Mark Esper warned the White House in a memo earlier this month that any further drawdowns in U.S. troops were not advised, essentially saying that was the unanimous.
Mitch McConnell yelled about this. Like, dude, the way that they're justifying keeping troops in Afghanistan is so disgusting. And it's basically the meme of like, well, actually, our imperialism is defending women's rights in Afghanistan, sweaty. Like, they're literally saying this. Like, Mitch McConnell and liberals have the same fucking take on the matter. I need to find that video. Hold on. Like, it triggered the fuck out of me earlier today. Like as though Mitch McConnell gives a single shred of a fuck about women. Oh, here it is.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell fired a warning shot Monday against withdrawing more U.S. troops from Afghanistan, even as the Pentagon is preparing an order to do so. McConnell speaking from the Senate floor.
Dude, what the fuck? Show the video. What the fuck the hell? Are you fucking stupid? Well, I don't want to hear your fucking monotone, boring ass, stupid shit ass fucking take. I want to hear Mitch McConnell. Oh, here. God damn, dude. The fucking hell. Holy shit. What are you doing? Like, the easiest video to have.
But important role in defending.
Here.
We're playing a limited, but important role in defending American national security and American interests against terrorists who would like nothing more than for the most powerful force for good in the world to simply pick up our ball and go home. They would love that.
Yeah, dude. So, first of all, guess what? You literally created this. Like, Republicans and Democrats both played a fundamental role in securing power for the Taliban in Afghanistan. So if you don't want to negotiate with them now, well, sucks to suck, bitch. You made this, okay? This is the bed you made. Now you have to fucking sleep in it. So that's one. You literally, despite the fact that you killed so many fucking people in Afghanistan, you increased Taliban numbers. I wonder how that happened. Can you just, for a brief moment, think about how the fuck the Taliban ended up getting more power in Afghanistan under the occupation when they were constantly getting fucking owned by the American forces? How did that happen, I wonder? Oh, wait, maybe because they literally, constantly and consistently had a fucking talent pool that was rushing to join the Taliban, specifically because they were like, oh, well, my fucking cousin died. Oh, well, I just got fucking, my school is bombed. I got nothing else. I only know, this group of people are that have harassed my family for the first half of my life are now telling me we're going to be your liberators. Of course they're going to fucking turn around and join the Taliban. Good job. We did this. Okay? We literally did this. Now we have to fucking deal with them. We have to fucking deal with them. So this notion that like, oh, well, we can't pull our troops out because the Taliban is so powerful out there and they want nothing more than to fucking like America to leave. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what do you think was going to happen? Of course it's going to happen. No, pull them the fuck out, dude. Pull them the fuck out. We have mapped out every single fucking crevice of this motherfucking country, okay? We got drones. We got all this other shit. We got all this technology. We got all this surveillance. Like, pull the fucking troops out. Do not send in private contractors and like outsource this imperial conquest over to academy, okay? And monitor the operations if you will, but ultimately pull the fucking people out. Pull the troops out. This bullshit. We've been there for fucking 20 years, dude. It's nuts. It's crazy. It's just imperialism. That's all it is. We are basically doing the exact same shit that the UK used to do, the kingdom used to do. So
in these 2 months, you've educated me so much about
so
politics.
I'm in favor of what Trump is trying to do here, even though I am secretly terrified that he's trying to do it just so he can bring in the mercs.
Support to you and to my fellow chatters hassle.
Are you dumb? You're aware that President Trump withdraw the forces to attack Iran before he's leaving? Yeah. Oh, we're going to get into that part of the process too. But the funniest part, perhaps the funniest part about this take that you will hear from both liberals and Republicans, Mitch McConnell's about to say some shit that is so fucking hilariously like social justice warrior-y to pretty much justify endless warfare and endless conquest in this region. But before we get to that, like, just remember that like these dudes can't do fucking shit, Okay? Like, they can't do anything. Like, what are they going to do? What is the Taliban going to do? Are they going to fucking destroy the American state? Is that how they're, like, if anything, the worst thing that they could do is fuck Europe up. The worst thing they could do is fuck Turkey up. Like, when American leaders talk about how, you know, oh, we need to protect ourselves from the Taliban, it's like, what the fuck are you saying, dude? What are you saying? Like, what do they have ICBMs or something? Like, how are they going to fuck America up? U.S. still has troops in Germany and Japan. What's the rush with Afghanistan? Yeah, literally.
That's why last year, 70 senators, a bipartisan supermajority, voted for an amendment I authored. It acknowledged the progress made in Syria and Afghanistan, identified the risks that remain, and cautioned that precipitous withdrawal would create vacuums that Iran, Russia, and the terrorists would be delighted to fill. There's no American who does not wish the war in Afghanistan against terrorists and their enablers had already been conclusively won. But that does not change the actual choice before us now. A rapid withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan now would hurt our allies and delight the people who wish us harm. Violence affecting Afghans is still rampant. The Taliban is not abiding by the conditions of the so-called peace deal. The consequences of a premature American exit would likely be even worse than President Obama's withdrawal from Iraq back in 2011, which fueled the rise of ISIS and a new round of global terrorism. It would be reminiscent of the humiliating American departure from Saigon.
Maybe if you want to do a fucking departure, what you should instead do is set up a secure and functioning infrastructure for the country that you fucking destroyed. You know, instead of a puppet leadership that basically operates as your mouthpiece that is unfavorable to the people that it's supposed to represent, working fully with the American government and their military interests in the region. Like, that's all we do, and then we're like, oh my God, I can't believe that there's a power vacuum now. It's like, dude, you can't pull a fucking Jenga piece off the board without making sure that it's going to be stabilized. It's fucking disgusting what we do, man. I'm sorry, this is what triggers me to no end. Like, beyond the anti-immigrant sentiment, beyond the racism in America, like, this is the one area where I'm like, I'm so disgusted. I'm so disgusted with these fucking animals, dude. Seriously, I can't believe he's not decaying anymore. I hope it's just the makeup that's stopping, that's making it look like he's no longer decaying. They're so disgusting, dude. Seriously. It is deeply frustrating. It's disgusting.
In 1975, we'd be abandoning our partners in Afghanistan.
Onat Madavinga, what racism? Stop playing the race card. You had a black president about to have the first black woman president, and 1 year after Biden will leave. Dude, none of that shit matters, bro. Shut the fuck up. It literally did not matter that Obama was the first black president. Look at the fucking country. 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. Very clearly. First of all, it's not even the only thing. It's not even the only fucking reason why people vote for Donald Trump. Like, I'm not even saying that. But, like, to act like racism ended because there was a black president, you fucking psycho. It's just complete psychopathic nonsense. Especially at a time when, like, according to FBI statistics, hate crime has increased more this year than any other fucking year. More hate crimes in 2019 than any other fucking year in the past decade.
5 months.
Like, white supremacy is fucking popping right now, boys.
The brave Afghans who are fighting the terrorists and destroying the government's leverage in their talks with the Taliban designed to end the fighting. Our retreat would embolden the Taliban, especially the deadly Haqqani wing, and risk plunging Afghan women
Just listen
and
to a
girls.
little
This is my favorite part. This is my favorite part. Watch this.
And the Taliban, especially the deadly Haqqani wing, and risk plunging Afghan women and girls back into what they experienced back in the 1990s. It would hand a weakened and scattered al-Qaeda a big propaganda victory.
Oh, the women. Mitch McConnell, you see, cares about the Afghan women and what the Taliban will do to them. That's what he cares about, dude. Oh, you fools. You simply don't understand. Mitch McConnell here was defending Afghan women. It's like he doesn't even care. He doesn't even fucking care. Oh, sorry. I just got a text message, important text message. He doesn't even fucking care about the women in Kentucky. Why would he care about the women in Afghanistan? Like, why would you ever think about that? Like, he doesn't care about the women or men in America, let alone the women or men in fucking Kentucky. Yo, this shit is so horrifying. And people fucking, maybe, just maybe when people start hearing Mitch McConnell say this stuff, like normal Americans, not professional Democrats and professional Republicans, because professional Democrats will literally use this exact same talking point. You will hear people from the Joe Biden administration say, we absolutely need to stay in Afghanistan because we need to protect the women of Afghanistan. How do you protect the women of Afghanistan? By killing them, okay? By looking the other way when our own trained police forces down there, the Afghan police forces, rape little kids, like little boys and girls. The people that we fucking train there. Like, that's how we defend the Afghan security in this circumstance. Like, that's the only way we can do it. It's virtue signaling to a fucking T, okay? It's stupid as fuck. By the way, the hilarity of the Taliban and art, that's a stretch, bud. That's a stretch. I'm sorry. Are you not understanding my sarcasm here, or are you unaware of
I love you, babe.
or are you just unaware of are you unaware of the very widely covered story about how U.S. soldiers were literally told to ignore the sexual abuse of boys by the Afghan allies? The people that we're training. Why do people come at me with this shit? I think you just like bullying people, but this is the only way you figured out how to do so in a PC way?
Tie.
What? I can't tell if this is bait or if I actually have like long-time fucking subs in here that are just like insane and delusional. Yeah, dude. I love bullying people. That's why I always bully people on the side of justice that are certainly fucking certainly people who don't deserve it. It's like I have nothing. Bullying comes from a place of having no power. Okay? You can't bully Mitch McConnell. Like, there's no bullying Mitch McConnell. One of the most powerful motherfuckers on the planet.
Victory and a renewed safe haven for plotting attacks against America. And it would be welcome news to Iran, which has long provided arms and support to the Taliban and explicitly seeks our retreat from the Middle East. A disorganized retreat would jeopardize the track record of major successes this administration has worked hard to compile. As a number of former officials and ambassadors recently stated, the spectacle of U.S. troops abandoning facilities and equipment, leaving the field in Afghanistan to the Taliban and ISIS, would be broadcast around the world as a symbol of U.S. defeat.
Remember, folks, the Taliban and even some members of Al-Qaeda, and even to a certain degree, the people that that
Rally round with our
Osama
family.
bin Laden
With the
relied
pocket full
on
of shells, they
were
rally
people
round
that
with
we
our family.
trained
With
in
the pocket full of
when
shells, they
when
rally
we
round
were
with our family. With the
when we
pocket
were
full of
fighting
shells,
against the
they rally round with
USSR.
our
That's why
family.
that
With the
that
pocket
brave
full of
Mujahideen
shells.
line comes up whenever people talk about me, and that line is a direct response or a direct call out of Reagan era policies. So I just want to give you a quick reminder on that as well. It's Pakistan, not Iran. I never said Iran. Did I say Iran? What? What Iran? I said Taliban. The Mujahideen are not the. Oh, come on, dude. Yes, every single Mujahideen that fought against the fucking USSR didn't turn into the Taliban, but they absolutely got fucking training and weapons. Come on, dude. Like, it's not entirely a 1-to-1, but it's so delusional. Oh, Mitch McConnell said Iran.
Leaving the field in Afghanistan to the Taliban and ISIS would be broadcast around the world as a symbol of U.S. defeat and humiliation and of victory for Islamic extremism. President Trump deserves major credit for reducing U.S. forces in Afghanistan to a sustained.
Dude, that's fucking disgusting, dude. We are. God, I hate this shit. I hate it so much. It's so fucking. This is so gnarly. Oh, I can't wait to get back to bipartisan compromise. Anyway, I got to run an ad real quick. Sorry. 60-second ad break is coming right now, folks. At the top of the hour, every hour, we have a 60-second ad break. It's coming to you right now. All you need to do is, if you want an ad-free experience, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it with a Twitch Prime, which is free. You can use your Twitch Prime on me to get a free ad-free experience in your broadcasting, or with a $5 subscription. But here it comes. All right.
Sustainable level, scoring major victories against terrorists across the region, and ensuring the Afghans themselves are at the front of the fight. That same successful approach should continue until the conditions for long-term defeat of ISIS and al-Qaeda have been achieved.
Yeah. Are you saying that they should have worked with the Taliban to maintain stability? No, I'm saying they should have never invaded Afghanistan to begin with. But once they did and they normalized the Taliban, unfortunately, they have to fucking now deal with them as a legitimate entity. Even the Trump administration understands this. That's the reality. And those guys are fucking monsters for the most part. They're not good. Like, the Taliban is not exactly, the Taliban's not ISIS, but they're not exactly fucking great either, if we're being honest. They're not like woke motherfuckers themselves. Like I've talked about this many times, where the people in Afghanistan are constantly stuck between a rock and a hard place, okay? Where either they have the Taliban coming down to their villages and telling them, like, we are going to fuck you up, or, yeah, they're local extremists, though. They're not international terrorists. Exactly. They don't have an international terrorist syndicate. They don't have, like, an expansive network. They are localized extremists that wanted to seize control over territories, and have been able to successfully do that as a direct consequence of our imperialist endeavors in the region and the destabilization that we caused. So they're fucking horrible. They're monsters. They're really, really not. They're not progressive at all. Like, they're bad. They're not good. Okay. But having said that, unfortunately, this is how it fucking works. You have to now deal with them because you put them in a position of power. You legitimize them. You basically created a network for them.
Love you, Hasanabi.
How long do you think it will take for the empire to stop trying to invade Afghanistan? It always seems to break empires. I don't know. They will never teach a lick of this in high school because every kid will become radicalized.
At Hasanabi, hey bro, nice shirt.
They were
Said
ruling
no one
before
ever.
America invaded, though? The Taliban? No, the Taliban had less power before America invaded. It's not like the Afghan government wasn't. It's not like the Afghan government wasn't like. It's not like the Afghan government was good. That's not true. Taliban influence grew after American invasion in Afghanistan. Like, am I wrong about this? Hold on. What the fuck? You listen to the Grateful Dead? No. I think he means after America invaded after 2001. Yes. Post-American invasion in 2001, Taliban government, Taliban had certain parts of the Afghanistan government in control, but they've never had a complete stranglehold on the government. The Taliban's influence, for the most part, stems from the villages that they controlled. And what they ended up, you can say they did. Stop pronouncing Taliban in Afghanistan like a white person. Taliban, Afghanistan. That's how I say it as a Turkish person. It doesn't fucking matter. How can you give legitimacy to something that already had legitimacy? Because there is a constant fucking there's a constant back and forth fighting in every single country. This is something that I tried to from 1996 to 2001, the Taliban held over roughly 3/4 of Afghanistan.
Yes.
There is constant infighting in the government in places like this that don't have a well-developed, centralized form of governance. Okay? There's constantly infighting from within the government. There's constantly infighting within progressives. This happens in even places like Turkey that have a better established democratic process in comparison to a place like Afghanistan. And when America comes in, when the Western world comes into play, and decides to fuck everything up and decides to fucking invade your country or decides to do a coup d'etat or any number of different things, historically speaking, what ends up happening is allowing these reactionary forces, these very conservative forces, to get more clout and get more influence, get more authority, get more legitimacy, because it makes their cause seem more just. Anti-Western sentiment becomes the norm. Here. Okay. Here's a quick briefer on it. The U.S. and Taliban have signed an agreement aimed at paving the way towards peace in Afghanistan after more than 18 years of conflict. Basically, what happened is on September 11, attacks in America killed 3,000 people. Osama bin Laden, the head of the Islamist terror group Al Qaeda, was quickly identified as the man responsible. The Taliban are radical Islamists, this is true, who ran Afghanistan and protected bin Laden, refused to hand him over. So a month after, by the way, the part that's not being mentioned here is that, according to some sources at the very least, that there was a negotiation process in place before the invasion happened, before the airstrikes happened, and that the Taliban refused to give up Osama bin Laden, but there were certainly other methods that we could have utilized instead of full-scale invasion. That obviously is not as favorable or as beneficial to the military-industrial complex. So we just fucking said, YOLO, it's time to invade. As other countries joined the war, the Taliban were quickly removed from power, but they didn't just disappear. Their influence grew back and they dug in. Since then, the U.S. and its allies have struggled to stop Afghanistan's government collapsing and to end deadly attacks by the Taliban. So, in the original invasion, they declared it a victory that they had wiped out the Taliban in its entirety. By the way, the Taliban didn't do 9/11. They did not do 9/11. But they were ostensibly protecting, Al-Qaeda members, specifically Osama bin Laden. Just remember that. Why is there a Taliban to Osama bin Laden connection? Why is that this like Pakistani and Afghani cell of radical Islamists that are constantly trying to maintain more geopolitical control over this region? Why is it that they were protecting a Saudi person, a member of like a Saudi person that was backed in part by auxiliary members of the Saudi royal family, that is the son of a very famous Saudi developer? Why, oh why? How could they have built this weird allegiance? You might wonder. You might say to yourself, how did that happen? That's so random. Well, it's because they were brought together over their interest in getting arms from the United States and getting training from the United States or the CIA so that they could purge out the USSR from the region, because the USSR was making unacceptable moves in Afghanistan. That's how they fucking became boys. That's the short and sweet of it. It's the most reductive way that I can describe it to you, but it's one that you most likely are not going to hear. People believe you. People would believe you. Stop lying. Nothing I said is a lie. Unless you're a baby with a baby brain and you think that and you think that like it's because they're both evil and they were like, hello, oh, are you the Taliban? Well, I'm Osama and I hate America and you hate America too. We are both evil. Let's become friends. And then they fucking high-fived. Like that's probably why. And they were like, dude, Osama, bro, why do you hate America? And Osama was like, oh, it's because they have freedom, bro. I hate their freedom, bro. That's why. They have the gays over there and I hate it. That's the origin story. And they jumped and high-fived. Oh, I love to do evil crimes. The evil international crime syndicate of terror, bro. I love it. Is that how you think it happened? Because that's the only other fucking way that this works. Like either they had a material interest or ideological interest that aligned with one another and were able to get training and also weapons as a consequence of America's interest in the region at the time in purging the USSR from Afghanistan, and they utilized militia forces and gave them weapons in an identical capacity to how they've done this over and over and over again, by the way. This is literally the most constant thing, okay? I am more certain that America will give weapons to radical militia groups that they end up declaring the enemy of the state later down the line to continue their endless conquest in the Middle East. I'm more certain of that happening than fucking being able to wake up tomorrow. Like, that is a certainty. That is a permanent thing that's always going to happen. And then we're always going to do the surprise Pikachu. Like, what? Dude, what? Same thing that happened in fucking Syria, pretty much. Same shit that happened with ISIS, pretty much. What? Same shit that happened in Iraq. Same shit that happened in Afghanistan. What? That's crazy. These guys that we gave weapons and training to also aren't really big fans of the fucking American military coming in and like literally perma-fucking their cousins and shit and destroying their infrastructure. That's wild. They now want to train the guns that we gave them on us instead? What? Dude, that's crazy, dude. It literally happened in Saudi Arabia. Well, not to the same degree, but it definitely happened in fucking Iran. We didn't fund the Mossadegh regime, but in an effort to make sure that Iran did not have a democratic socialist leader that wanted to seize the British petroleum capital investments made to the Iranian state in extracting their natural resources, specifically oil. They decided, we can't have this dude, and the the permanent backlash from that created what you now see as the theocratic state. Iran was a very progressive place, right behind Turkey. Same with Egypt. There were plenty of very progressive places in the Middle East and North Africa back in the day, maybe in the 60s and 70s, that no longer exists. Part of that is literally because of the CIA's efforts in harming any sort of democratic socialism from occurring in any of these countries. Same with fucking Turkey, too. Same with fucking Turkey as well. You're missing some key points. He was able to gain influence by placing mullahs in the CIA-funded camps in northern Pakistan where the Mujahideen were trained prior to the Afghan-Russian war. Are we the baddies? Yes, we are the baddies. Anyway, where was I? Oh, we were just like all over this place. I'm all over the place. Okay, so let's keep going. So, in 300 words, we did not ask for this mission, but we will fulfill it, U.S. President George W. Bush said when he announced the first airstrikes against Afghanistan on 7th of October 2001. The raids were in response to the 9/11 attacks, which killed 2,977 people in New York, Washington, Pennsylvania, a number that is pretty crazy for obviously a terror attack on U.S. soil by a foreign terror cell. But also pound for pound, if we're talking about American death and American casualties, something that we reach every 2 days now with coronavirus, a real threat, a significant threat to American sovereignty and American societal development that we are just routinely, almost ritualistically ignoring.
Some of these chuds would have their minds blown if they saw how Middle East looked prior to the 80/90s.
We did not ask for this mission, but we will fulfill it. The mission, he said, was to disrupt the use of Afghanistan as a terrorist base of operations and to attack the military capability of the Taliban regime. If that was your mission, my friend, you fucking failed. You failed spectacularly. You failed harder than anyone has ever failed before. $7 trillion in 20 years and more than 7,000 Americans dead. And of course, millions of casualties, tens of millions of people displaced. Terror incidents occurring all around the fucking world. Mission fucking accomplished, right? $7 trillion we wasted. Tens of thousands of boys and girls shipped overseas fucking came back in coffins with American flags draped all over them. Hundreds of thousands of veterans who are just permanently fucked, who can't live their lives normally. Maybe they have a communications degree though now. And so they can fucking also work at Walmart for less than minimum wages. So that's pretty fucking tight. That's freedom, brother. And here we are. Incredible success. Dealing with the Taliban. Negotiating with them. Remember, we don't negotiate with terrorists. America never negotiates with terrorists. Well, guess what? Yes, you fucking do. Okay. First targets were military sites belonging to the hardline Taliban group who ruled the country. Training camps for Al-Qaeda, the terror group run by 9/11 plotter Osama bin Laden, were also hit. But 18 years on, it's hard to argue the U.S. mission has been fulfilled. The Taliban may play a part in ruling Afghanistan again if peace talks do eventually succeed. The Taliban first took control of the capital, Kabul, in 1996 and ruled most of the country within 2 years. They followed a radical form of Islam and enforced punishments like public executions. There was only an allied state that also does capital punishment and like ritualistic capital punishments. Not ritualistic, but those guys have a lot of natural resources and are our largest friends, our allies in the Middle East. So anyway.
Yeah.
Within 2 months of the U.S. and its international and Afghan allies launching their attacks, the Taliban regime collapsed and its fighters melted away into Pakistan. A new U.S.-backed government took over in 2004, but the Taliban still had a lot of support in the areas surrounding or around the Pakistani border and made hundreds of millions of fucking dollars a year from the drug trade, mining, and taxes. As the Taliban carried out more and more suicide attacks, international forces working with Afghan troops struggled to counter the threat the re-energized group posed. In 2014, at the end of what was the bloodiest year in Afghanistan since 2001, NATO's international forces, wary of staying in Afghanistan indefinitely, ended their combat mission, leaving it to the Afghan army to fight the Taliban. But that gave Taliban momentum as they seized territory and detonated bombs against government and civilian targets. In 2018, the BBC found the Taliban was openly active across 70% of Afghanistan. Afghanistan had been a state of almost constant war for 20 years, even before the U.S. invaded. Ooh, let's take a look at this part of it. In 1979, after a coup, the Soviet army invaded Afghanistan to support the communist government. It fought a resistance movement known as the Mujahideen. That was supported by the U.S., Pakistan, China, and Saudi Arabia, among other countries. The brave boys, the brave Mujahideens. In 1989, Soviet troops withdrew, but the civil war continued. In the chaos that followed, the Taliban, which means students of the Pashto language, sprang up. The first rose to prominence in the border area of northern Pakistan and southwest Afghanistan in 1994. They promised to fight corruption and improve security, and at the time, many Afghans were tired of the excesses and fighting of the Mujahideen during the civil war. It's thought that the Taliban first appeared in religious schools, mostly funded by Saudi Arabia, which preached a hardline form of Islam. They enforced their own austere versions of Sharia. No, some of the Mujahideens are good. Like, they are. And then some of them were like, okay, never mind. We're doing this shit now. Anyway. The Taliban banned television, music, and cinema and disapproved of girls' education. And because the Taliban gave shelter to militants from the Al-Qaeda group, it made them an immediate target for an attack by U.S., Afghan, and international forces in the wake of 9/11. Why has the war lasted so long? There are many reasons for this, but they include a combination of fierce Taliban resistance, the limitation of Afghan forces. Why are you saying hi live stream fails? There are many reasons for this, but they include a combination of fierce Taliban resistance, the limitations of Afghan forces and governance, and other countries' reluctance to keep their troops for longer in Afghanistan. At times over the past 18 years, the Taliban have been on the back foot. In late 2009, U.S. President Barack Obama announced a troop surge that saw the number of American soldiers in Afghanistan top 100,000. This surge helped drive the Taliban out of parts of southern Afghanistan, but it was never destined to last for years. As a result, the Taliban were able to regroup. When international forces withdrew from fighting, Afghan forces left to lead the charge were easily overwhelmed. To make matters worse, Afghanistan's government that is full of tribal division is often hamstrung. A lack of political clarity since the invasion began and questions about the effectiveness of U.S. strategy over the past 18 years are the 5 main reasons, according to BBC World Service's Dawood Azami. The fact that each side is trying to break what has become a stalemate and that the Taliban have been trying to maximize their leverage during peace negotiations, an increase in violence by Islamic State militants in Afghanistan. They've been behind some of the bloodiest attacks recently. There's also a role played by Afghanistan's neighbor, Pakistan. There's no question that the Taliban have their roots in Pakistan and that they were able to regroup there during the U.S. invasion, but Pakistan has denied helping or protecting them, even as the U.S. demanded it do more to fight militants. How have the Taliban managed to stay so strong? How? The group could be making as much as $1.5 billion a year, a huge increase even within the past decade. If only I could pinpoint why America totally accelerated opium production and opium cultivation or opium poppy cultivation in Afghanistan rather than, anything else at a time when they had more control over what was going on. Now, of course, the speculation is that Afghanistan could grow cotton. locals said that they could literally revive a once flourishing processing plant that could provide a much needed alternative, but that would make Afghanistan a competitor in the international forces to the United States, for example, that also produces cotton, and that's not it's not necessarily favorable. That's not necessarily favorable to everybody. So opium is probably a little bit better. No, it's because the Taliban find opium more profitable. So why is it that the opium production grew when the United States actually did have a little bit of regional control? When they had the opportunity, when they purged the Taliban in like 2004, when it was at its like lowest point, why didn't they say, all right, we're going to make sure that you guys can build factories, and or not even build factories, like revamp factories that have not been processing cotton? That Taliban didn't produce opium is a myth. I'm not saying Taliban didn't produce opium. No, guys, I'm not a fan of the Taliban. Like I make no mistake here. They do all the worst shit. It's like either you get down there and you destroy the country, and in your effort to rebuild it, you allow there to be some production that is going to compete with American industries, or you're like, well, opium is good. They make it already. It's fast. It's easy. There's demand for it, and you just build. You just get them to make opium. Get them to fucking cultivate opium. Was Air Force intel the most ridiculous part about being in that conflict? Was there were so many splinter ores like the Taliban, ISIS, ISIL, like 5 different Al Qaeda groups? Even we didn't know who exactly we were fighting on a daily basis. They provide government infrastructure resources to the communities there because their actual government is fucked by our actions, which enables people to like them and see them as a necessity. No, it's not just that. We're talking about the fucking Taliban here. They're not nice to the people that they oversee. Like, they're not. They're literally not. They fucking like they don't treat the communities that they have control over with kindness. They fucking do executions and shit, and if it were up to them, they would 100% enforce like an ISIS style fucking hardline Sharia control over every region that they have power over. They're psychos. But yeah, and the people are not fond of them. The people that are being ruled by the Taliban do not consider them to be good. No, I know. He's saying, you say money wasted, but most of it was spent and invested in U.S. military companies, which makes the U.S. to maintain global control, and that's the actual goal. No, yeah, that's bad. That's a bad thing. At least 4 rockets were fired at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. Comes after U.S. Acting Defense Secretary says partial withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan. Anyway, this all happened because of some dumb Cold War accelerationism that the U.S. perpetuated alongside the Soviets. The problem is actually way older than that. So old it predates World War II and goes all the way back to the fall of the Ottoman Empire and the European partition of the Middle East. There's certainly never-ending conflict in this region, but instead of helping them, or instead of helping the people of Afghanistan, we have only made things worse.
Hassle.
Anyway, okay. Is it safe to assume that the USA NATO funding was primarily due to indirect contributions for the Iran, Syria, and Afghanistan war against terrorism, and that we are the cause for spending more in NATO? Actually, they write a thesis piece about this, and Tamara Makarenko has a pretty good article about it. Okay, I don't want to look at the video. Topical Obama tweet from 2012. Fact, President Obama has a plan to end the Afghanistan war. In 2014, Mitt Romney does not. The fact that Mitch McConnell making a 4-minute floor speech needs a 60-year refresher on U.S. intervention so people don't think you're pro-Taliban says it all? Yeah. Always. Our tentacles in world affairs go so fucking far that it's impossible to very quickly and easily describe like exactly how much tentacles, like a fucking octopus, like a squid. They go so deep and have caused so much damage, long-lasting damage for so long that it is virtually impossible to describe it easily, no matter how many fucking articles you pull up. I think I prefer a world controlled by the U.S. than any other superpower. How about no superpower control over the entire planet? And also, of course you would say that. You live in fucking America. So you reap the benefits of that. Like, that's literally the most liberal fucking take, dude. You straight up reap the rewards, and that's why you think it's good.
Consensus of the...
And even then, you don't actually reap the rewards, actually. The way that it works now, you don't even fucking benefit from it. That's the incredible part about it, is that, like, the people that reap the rewards are those in the military industrial complex. Those are defense contractors. Those are people that get paid decent salaries, especially at the top, at the highest levels. It's executives. It's hedge fund managers who invest into this never-ending cycle of bloodshed and violence. Those are the people that actually benefit from it. Your taxes fucking pay for that never-ending war, okay? Your taxes pay for the development of new weapons and cooler ways to fucking laser brown people. And your children, if you're working class or if you're from a military family, your children go over there and get fucking permanent brain damage. And irreparable psychological harm done to them. And then they come back and are still subjected to the fucking awful labor market that we currently have. So we don't actually reap the rewards of this. It's just that fear that you feel. That like, if, I don't know, China was in charge of everything, then we wouldn't be in a safe situation. That someone would come and do to us what we have done to them for the longest fucking time. And that's the fear that keeps a lot of liberals in check. And that's the fear that causes liberals and Republicans, conservatives, to just fucking handshake, basically.
Salvador Allen's socialist and democratic government to put Pinochet, who killed thousands of innocent people.
Continuing to fucking invade other countries. It doesn't matter who holds office. U.S. wars in foreign countries will always continue. Even if it was Bernie, I'm confident that the problem doesn't lie with the administration, but the institutions of corporate capitalism of the U.S. system, which is nigh on impossible to change. Stop blaming the presidency like it's the only factor. What are you... Dude, I know you're in here all the fucking time. Like, shut the fuck up. You know I don't think it's just one administration over the other. This entire conversation started because I'm literally criticizing liberals for trying to stop troop withdrawal from Afghanistan, calling it premature. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, we literally started this conversation because the American interests are so unified in Afghanistan that like liberals and most Republicans are in agreement on continuing troop presence in Afghanistan and literally fucking hate that Donald Trump is trying to pull out. Now, I think Donald Trump is trying to pull out for nefarious reasons. I think Donald Trump is trying to pull out of Afghanistan so that he can send in Academy and completely privatize that, completely outsource our imperial endeavors in the region. And I think that is terrifying, but it's still good to fucking pull the troops out.
The chain of command that the U.S. should not withdraw more troops from Afghanistan until conditions on the ground had been met, and that it was the unanimous consensus at that time that those conditions had not yet been met when Secretary Esper sent that memo to the White House earlier this month. And those sources also telling Jake Tapper that that is one of the main reasons why the president is believed to have fired Secretary Defense Esper last week. Wolf?
This is a really serious development. All right, Jeremy, thank you very much. Let's get some more.
Yeah, this is why he's switching out fucking generals and shit, too. Because he wants to do this. He wants to do like a one last, like, I think it's probably like a one last fuck you. Let me get as much out as I can for all the homies that are on my side. You know? The hilarious part about this process, of course, is that he is simultaneously trying to fucking escalate conflict with Iran while he's also saying, I fucking hate John Bolton. He's an idiot. He's a warmonger. Meanwhile, he's literally trying to do worse shit than even John Bolton wanted to do in Iran. And John Bolton is a genocidal, bloodthirsty maniac, okay? Who gets off at the thought of wiping out, like glassing Iran and then giving the ashes to the MEK so that those fucking psychopathic pyramid scheme multi-level marketing fake socialists can control the entire area.
Bombing of Yugoslavia. Gonna need a minute.
Okay. So what Trump is trying to do is basically that, while also shitting on him. Wasn't there a general or someone in the DOG suggested that the solution to Afghanistan was to pick half the money wasted in equipment and use it on infrastructure and education for the next 10 years? Yeah. Shouldn't we just want to be involved in less harmful ways? We don't have to be fully isolationist to be globally ethical. I don't see why intensive foreign diplomacy, intelligence gathering, and foreign aid is a bad thing. All those things would continue to make the U.S. a world superpower. Yeah, except the difference is every single thing that you mentioned here, soft power, the soft power approach is literally just is statecraft. Like aid, intelligence gathering, and foreign diplomacy is literally all functions of the intelligence community. The State Department operating as the arm, the corporate arm, basically, the enforcement arm of our corporate interests in these regions. Foreign aid is almost always fucking masked with a bunch of intervention, foreign aid that literally has guns being supplied to the paramilitaries that are against whatever the American administration, the government that the American administration considers to be unfavorable. So every single thing that you said, in theory, it would be great if we did that. Like, that's the dream that I have. The dream is that the military is the largest jobs program on the fucking planet. It's the largest government jobs program in the history of government jobs programs. It's like literally fucking USSR style jobs program. And I wish that instead of its main function being killing brown kids overseas and like destroying infrastructure, creating power vacuums, destabilizing entire regions, I wish that we would just go there and build shit. You know what I mean? Build bridges, build roads, unconditionally, by the way, and build schools unconditionally, and just do that instead as a sign of goodwill. Instead, we have more than 260 military bases in every fucking country on the planet.
All of this, our chief political analyst, Gloria Borger, is with us. Our CNN political correspondent, Abby Phillip, is here. And our CNN political correspondent, Arlette Saenz, is also back with us. She's in Delaware. This new report, Gloria, that Jake is reporting on, that Esper sent a classified memo to the White House warning against this kind of immediate unilateral U.S. withdrawal of troops from Iraq and Afghanistan. It was the unanimous recommendation of the top military brass, including the U.S. military central commander, Marine General Kenneth McKenzie, also the head of the NATO mission in Afghanistan, General Austin Miller, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, not to do this. But the president is now ordering this, and his interim, his temporary Secretary of Defense, who is just coming in, apparently he's going to go along with the president.
Look, this is a president who wants to get a bunch of things done that were on his checklist before he leaves office. And the professionals on whom he apparently relied, that's past tense because he's fired Esper, told him not to do it until conditions on the ground were met. And conditions on the ground, according to them, had not been met. The Taliban had not been making any breaking with al-Qaeda, for example, things like that. And so we now know unequivocally that the president is just taking matters into his own hands, not listening to his national security people, not listening to his defense people. But before he leaves office, wanting to do whatever he wants so he can leave and say to the American people who supported him, look, I promised you I would do this, end these wars, and that is what I did, even though in the end it could mean trouble for Joe Biden.
Shared stream Pogu.
Oh. Sorry, I had to go and get Diet Mountain Dew and pee and stuff. I hope Hermie gave you a good... Is he doing this specifically so Biden will send them back and make him look horrible? No, I think he's doing it because...
really bad here, had an hour wait in line to get tested today.
I think he's doing it because he literally wants to... He's doing it because part of him probably thinks it's better to pull the troops out. People that make fun of me for saying are so fucking stupid. Like, you speak in front of 30,000 people for 12 hours, okay? You, off the cuff, described, like, American foreign policy to 30,000 people. Like, yeah, I say from time to time, you fucking idiot. You can't even tell your mommy that you want chicken tendies with the center being a little bit warmer than cool. You can't even deliver that appropriately without fucking freaking out. Meanwhile, it's like, wow, Streamer Man is not able to just fucking constantly pump out information at a rapid clip without thinking about it, even though, you know, this is his second language technically. Idiot.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to be here with you. So 4 years ago, President Trump ran on a promise to put a stop to America's endless wars. Today, it's just announced at the Pentagon, President Trump is keeping that promise to the American people. President Trump understood that the way to end those wars was to adopt a peace through strength approach to the world. He rebuilt the American military, which had been decimated by defense sequestration under the Obama administration. He required our allies to step up their game. And America's NATO allies are now spending $400 billion in additional defense spending over the next 10 years. And they've contributed more troops to conflict zones in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. I just finished a phone call with Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg of NATO, and we discussed regional issues, and I thanked him for the alliance's continued contributions to the West's national security and to freedom and security in our overseas missions in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. President Trump empowered our great armed forces to defeat 100% of the ISIS caliphate. That caliphate was the size of Great Britain, stretching across Syria and Iraq when President Trump took office. And he authorized the daring nighttime raid that brought justice to the founder and cruel leader of ISIS, Bakr Abu al-Baghdadi. Under President Trump, the U.S. military and intelligence services have wiped out most of the Al-Qaeda leadership, striking that organization which perpetrated 9/11.
There's just no fucking way that they're pulling out. I just don't think that they're going to do it. Trump is going to try to do it. It's not going to matter because, like, I don't know if it's the Taliban or not, but they're fucking wilding out right now. If it was in their interest, they would just fucking shut the fuck up and, like, not bomb shit. And they have only escalated, or at least the conflict and the bloodshed has escalated since the Taliban peace talks started. So I don't even know if it's, like, actually the Taliban doing this, because it's not even in their best interest. What's in their best interest is to just chill the fuck out and not blow shit up and agree to a ceasefire just for the terms of this agreement in the short term, so that the United States government could, like, pull the fuck out, and then they could bomb whatever the fuck they want and take over. But the fact that they're not doing that is so weird. You literally just read an article that said it improves their bargaining position to escalate tensions. No, they already have a good bargaining position.
9/11 in Mali, Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria, and other locales. President Trump's resolve and America's strength has also led to peace.
Tell the terrorists to not blow shit up. You realize what you said? Every actor in this circumstance is doing terror. Like, and that includes the American state too. So this is a conversation between the terrorist state of the United States of America versus the terrorist state of the Afghanistan government versus the terrorist militia groups of the Taliban that are also trying to secure as much power as they can over Afghanistan. It's just the truth. So being like, oh, telling the terrorists not to blow shit up. Yeah, you're right. Same with fucking the United States. It's impossible to get them to stop blowing shit up. They're just too horny to blow shit up.
Middle East, from the historic Abraham Accords to the peace deal with the Taliban that has led to inter-Afghan negotiations, the world is safer because of the Trump administration's policies. Moments ago, Acting Secretary of Defense Miller announced major troop reductions in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Effective January 15, 2021, American troops in both countries will go to 2,500 personnel. Those troops will defend our embassies and the other agencies of the U.S. government doing important work in those countries. They'll enable our American allies in their important missions in those countries. They'll defend our diplomats, and they'll deter our foes. By May, it is President Trump's hope that they will all come home safely and in their entirety. I want to reiterate that this policy is not new. This has been the President's policy since he took office, and it's a policy that I talked about specifically with these numbers at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas in October. So it's appropriate at this time to again thank our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, and Coast Guardsmen, and especially their families, and especially those families of our fallen heroes and of our wounded warriors. They have made tremendous sacrifices for the fight against terrorism and to keep our country secure. They're simply the best men and women this country has to offer. Critics have said that the President would not be able to rebuild our military, strengthen our alliances, wreak havoc on the terrorists, bring peace to the Middle East, and end our forever wars. Yet he has done that and positioned us to win the coming great power competition. Any one of these achievements would merit tremendous praise. Taken together, President Trump's foreign policy and national security record is comparable only to Ronald Reagan in the past 2 generations. Thank you all. God bless our men and women in uniform, and God bless.
Accent Pogo, Accent Pogo, Accent Pogo, Accent Pogo, Accent Pogo, Accent Pogo.
It is 2 weeks since the election.
All right. Moving away from
Accent Pogo.
I'm moving away from Afghanistan. Okay.
Hi Hassan, I am the person who you verbally abusive. I was not making fun of you. I personally like the sounds you make. Hassle, hassle, hassle.
America has done more harm and terror than all the terrorists in the world. Yeah.
Pogo.
Well, technically, America has caused half the fucking terrorists in the world to become terrorists. So this shit does not happen in a vacuum. Okay, the British Empire is probably up there. Not probably, definitely up there. This shit doesn't happen in a vacuum. People aren't like born evil. Like they don't just wake up and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm born in Afghanistan. I'm gonna be terrorist now. Like it doesn't work that way. It only works that way if you have a baby brain and you think about things like a fucking baby. And you think there's heroes and villains in every fucking story. That dude doesn't think he's a villain. He thinks his cause is righteous. And quite frankly, if you were living under the steady bombardment of American artillery and American drone strikes and boots on the ground military warfare and your fucking cousins and your family members have been killed, you'd probably think your cause is righteous to kill them too. Guess what? You don't even have that threat, and you still think it's okay to fucking eviscerate entire regions. You understand? You don't even have that threat, and you still think it's okay to just fucking murk people. So imagine how they feel.
Poo poo piker. Daddy Hassan. 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 Poo poo piker.
Arab culture is incompatible with the West is a common excuse.
Daddy
yeah,
Hassan.
Incompatible with the West in the sense that Western influence and